talk about Bryce Young and the Carolina Panthers. As I record this video, the Panthers are 1-3 to start the 2025 season. For the first half of this video, it will be solely all about Bryce Young because he has been a major disappointment so far with this organization. And considering what they gave up to select him with the first overall pick, they gave up a 2023 first round pick, a 2023 second round pick, and your franchise wide receiver at the time, and DJ Moore, to select this kid. Now, the rookie season and the failures, it wasn't all on Bryce Young. He showed some good moments. He showed some bad moments. You had a terrible offensive line. You had a terrible coaching staff. Frank Reich was a horrible head coach. He didn't even make it out the entire season. You had him give up play calling duties to Thomas Brown. Then he took the play call sheet right back. It was no sense of direction with the coaching. So then you go out there and you move on from that coaching staff and you bring in some more offensive linemen to help out Bryce Young, to give him some more infrastructure. You bring in Damian Lewis. You bring in Robert Hunt. You help flesh out the rest of this offensive line. You bring in an offensive-minded head coach in Dave Canales, who did a tremendous job in Seattle. Pete Carroll loved Dave Canales, and the same with Russell Wilson and DK Metcalf. He goes over to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, offensive coordinator. His first year with the Buccaneers went amazing, to where you bring him over from the Buccaneers to work with Bryce Young. This man did a tremendous job with Russell Wilson. He did a tremendous job with Baker Mayfield. So we know that he can coach. Now, granted, the Seahawks have better wide receivers and a better offensive scheme at the time, and the same with the Buccaneers, Mike Evans, Chris Godwin. But you have this young, undersized quarterback who can throw the football down the field, who can make plays off script. That's what he was able to do at Alabama. So when you bring in all those pieces, you expect for year two to be better. The start of year two was worse. It got so bad that they went out there and they benched him in favor of Andy Dalton, because those first two games, 0 passing touchdowns, 3 interceptions. He looked terrible against the New Orleans Saints. He looked terrible the next week against the Los Angeles Chargers. The only reason why they went back to Bryce Young is because Andy Dalton got into a car accident and he hurt his thumb. Let's not forget, last year, Andy Dalton won that game against the Las Vegas Raiders. The offense took a major step forward. They took major steps that they were not able to take with Bryce Young. And when they placed Bryce Young back to the starting lineup, that first game against the Denver Broncos, he comes out. The first drive, he looks good. For the rest of the game, he did little to nothing. But as the weeks went on, Bryce Young looked better. He looked better against Kansas City, a team that just went to the Super Bowl last year. He almost won the game. The defense held him back. Bryce Young was making big play after big play over and over again against Kansas City. The same against the Philadelphia Eagles. You're looking at Bryce Young now at this point in time. This kid's playing like a top quarterback in the NFL. You expect for that to carry over to the next season. And let's not forget that last game of the season against the Atlanta Falcons. He goes out there, he carves them up on the back end, and they're running the football with Chuba Hubbard. And this offensive line, they're just moving people. It was a great time. So you go out there and you bring in Teteroy McMillan in the first round. The hype is there. You have Dave Canales in year 2, Bryce Young's in year 3. Let's go out there and let's work. Bryce Young right now looks worse. As I record this video, he looks worse now than he did at the beginning of last season. The turnovers are ridiculous and he's missing wide receivers over and over again. This is not a good football team on the offensive end, and I know that they are dealing with injuries, but I said this at the time. They should have never traded Adam Thielen. And I'm not going to sit up here and act like Adam Thielen is his top 10 wide receiver. He's not, but he was a safety blanket for Bryce Young. When you have so many injuries at the wide receiving position, you need all the help that you can get, especially for a quarterback that is still young in his career. This is year 3 for Bryce Young. Now, usually year 3 is when you get your answer on your quarterback. We've seen it with Baker Mayfield with the Cleveland Browns. He had a very good season in year 3. The same with Patrick Mahomes in Kansas City, Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens, Josh Allen in the Buffalo Bills. Year 3 is when the quarterback takes off and you really know what you're getting in the future. So far, Bryce Young this season, the turnovers outweigh the production on the offensive end in terms of touchdowns and rushing touchdowns. In week 1 against the Jacksonville Jaguars, you lose this matchup 26-10. Bryce Young, 18-35, only 154 passing yards, 1 passing touchdown, 2 interceptions. And he had a fumble in this matchup as well. That's 3 turnovers. And this has been a problem with Bryce Young in his career, the turnovers. This is why I said in my prediction and preview video against the Patriots, I didn't trust Bryce Young because of the turnovers. In week 2 against the Cardinals, you lose this matchup 27-22. Bryce Young had a fumble that went for a touchdown. So as soon as Kyler Murray takes the field, his first drive, they're already up because of Bryce Young and that fumble. And he has been terrible against the blitz this season. I know the back half of last season, he performed very well against the blitz, but traditionally, he hasn't done well against pressure. Not in this system with the Carolina Panthers. His rookie season, the beginning of last season, and so far this season. And he fumbled that football against the Cardinals. It was a blitz up the middle. And we can talk about offensive line protection, but at the end of the day, it's up to the quarterback, it's up to the center and the coach to figure out the blitz, slide protection, get the football out quick. And we've seen this with other quarterbacks in year 3. So you can't give me the excuse, well, he's a young quarterback, he's still figuring things out. That's done for here. It's time to go out there and act like that you know the game and be that basically veteran signal caller. You have enough snaps in your career. And we've seen Bryce Young do this before against Kansas City last year, the same against the Philadelphia Eagles, and even against the Atlanta Falcons and the Buccaneers last year. So that's not a good excuse right now. But against the Cardinals, he had that fumble for 6. He had the interception. Yes, he had 3 passing touchdowns, 328 passing yards, but he was 35 of 55. That's 55 pass attempts. And Bryce Young is better off when he can be that game manager for you. And what do I mean by that? When you can run the football with Chuba Hubbard, you play behind this offensive line, you work off a play action, you put him under center. He can't go out there and elevate your offense solely by himself just yet. And he may never be with the Carolina Panthers. That's not his game. Maybe one day in the future, he can be that guy. He can be in the same conversation with some of the top quarterbacks in football, but he can't do that right now. But when you have these costly turnovers early in the season, that goes away from your run game plan. That goes away from going out there and working off play action because you can't run yourself back into a game. That'll be stupid. You're running time off the clock. If you're down by 10 to 14 points, you have to throw yourself back into the matchup. And it's hard to do that when your quarterback is not reading the field, when he's over and under throwing wide receivers. And for a quarterback, there are a lot of people, they joke on his size doesn't bother. His size doesn't bother me. When I look at undersized quarterbacks, can you at least get the ball over the line of scrimmage? Bryce Young has done that. A lot. He's done that more so than Russell Wilson, and the same with Kyler Murray. He doesn't get the ball bad down the line of scrimmage. But for him to be an undersized quarterback, he can for sure overthrow wide receivers in space over and over again. But the Cardinals game was a bad look for Bryce Young early on, and the same against the Jaguars, even though you almost came back in that Cardinals game. But you wouldn't have been in that situation in the first place if you didn't shoot yourself in the foot with that turnover and those turnovers in general. Against the Atlanta Falcons, a great win. I didn't cover this video last week, but this was a phenomenal win for the Carolina Panthers. You beat the brakes off a division rival, and you did it at home. 30-0. That's phenomenal. Bryce Young, 16-24, 121 passing yards. But why did you win this game? Because your offense was able to go out there and feed off your defense. Bryce Young was a game manager. You didn't have to depend on him to go out there and make those crucial throws on third down. Your defense feasting on Michael Penix Jr. over and over again. You had a pick 6. You had another interception. You're just pouncing on them the entire game. And that is what a quarterback's supposed to do. Tom Brady has done this. Josh Allen has done this. Same with Patrick Mahomes and Lamar Jackson. When your defense is going out there and you're having performances like that, I don't have to go out there and I don't have to be Superman. My defense is already doing the heavy lifting. I'm not going to put us behind the 8 ball. I'm going to take what the defense gives me. Hell, if it's 3rd and 3, I'm not going to go out there and turn this football over. We'll live to see another down. Play through our defense. But in today's matchup against the New England Patriots, they needed Bryce Young to help them out. It was a kick return in this matchup. Well, a punt return in this matchup. The kicker, he did miss a field goal. He did miss an extra point. Not a good look for the special teams in this department. But you still had enough chances to come back and win this matchup. Bryce Young scored on the opening drive. Go out there, you get 6 points, a beautiful ball to the tight end. Phenomenal placement to Tommy Tremble. But what did he do for the rest of the game? Little to nothing. He didn't have any turnovers. That's great. But you lost to the Patriots today, 42-13, and you got a garbage time touchdown with Andy Dalton after you just shut out the Atlanta Falcons the week before. They need more out of Bryce Young. And if he can't give them more at this rate, it will be time to move on after this season. And I look at someone like Dave Canales, your team is rarely prepared for the first half of the season. The only reason why they were able to go out there and get wins last year is because you made a change at the quarterback position. You're throwing Bryce Young underneath the bus there because the rest of your offense, they're not ready. And the same with your defense. Your defense was atrocious last year. This year's been a little bit different. I know that they let up 40 plus points in today's matchup against the Patriots, but your defense was stout in week 1 against Trevor Lawrence and Jacksonville Jaguars. They did a very good job against Kyler Murray in week 2 against the Arizona Cardinals, especially in the back end of the defense. And of course, in week 3 against the Atlanta Falcons, they didn't score a single point. So your defense is no longer the problem here. It's your offense. And I know what a lot of Panther fans are what they're going to say here. We're dealing with injuries. We don't have Xavier Legette. Let's not act like Legette is his top wide receiver. This man had less receiving yards than me and you listening to this video against the Arizona Cardinals. He had -2 receiving yards on the season. He has 4 catches, 8 receiving yards. He doesn't look good on the field. He's not finishing plays. He can't catch the football consistently. He lost them games last year because of the fact that he couldn't finish plays and he couldn't go out there and catch the football. Your most consistent wide receiver right now is Teteroa McMillan. As a matter of fact, McMillan is the best player that you have on the offensive end. He's a superstar already, and they don't target him enough, in my opinion. But if you ice him out and you put him in double coverage, who else is getting open here? Even if Legette was able to play, I don't trust him to go out there and get open. Not consistently. He hasn't been able to do it. Hunter Renfrow, a man that's missed a lot of time, dealing with an illness off the field, and it's great to see him back on the field. But he's this aging wide receiver. You should have kept Adam Thielen on this roster. He had a very good connection with Bryce Young. The Carolina Panthers made that move, and they're basically saying, hey, Minnesota, we'll give you a free one. Jordan Addison's out for the first couple of games. We'll just give you one of our better wide receivers, and we'll go out there with this young wide receiving core. That's never a good idea. I know that JT Sanders, he was out in today's matchup as well. He was the second leading wide receiver against the Arizona Cardinals. He's a talented tight end. Tommy Tremble, he's solid. I like the tight end group that they have when they're fully healthy, but wide receiver is an issue. But at the same time, a lot of Panther fans, they don't want to hear that. They want to see Bryce Young go out there and they want to see him deliver the football on a dime over and over again. And it has been a lot of situations since Dave Canales has been the head coach. And he's a former wide receiving coach with the Seattle Seahawks, to where he would scheme open wide receivers. And Bryce Young, he just doesn't see him. And it's not because of his height. He can't properly read the field effectively just yet. Or he overthrows him. Or he underthrows him. Or it's the wrong read. Or he rushes passes. That's son Bryce Young. That's not on the coaching staff. And one more thing on Dave Canales here. I hate the game plan that he had early on against the Cardinals and against the Jaguars. You're trying to make Bryce Young go out there and be this top 10 talent. He's not that guy just yet. He may be in the future. He's not that guy right now. You need to go out there and you need to run this football. That needs to be the identity of the Carolina Panthers every single week. So now Bryce Young can work off of play action. He can get the football to those playmakers in space. So having this game plan where Bryce Young is going to be this 5-step drop quarterback in these crucial situations, that's not it right now. You go out there, you feed off your defense, you feed off your run game. But Bryce Young has been a disappointment. And I said this early on in the year, after they lost against the Jaguars, when I said this is not the ideal start for Bryce Young, the Carolina Panthers, you don't bench him this year. You stick with him. You see if it is a brighter side to this ugly phase right now. And if it's not, you have your answer on your guy. That means that he's not your guy. And you move on from him. The bad thing is this quarterback class coming out this year, coming out of college, they don't look too hot this year. I'm just going to be honest here. Garrett Nussmeier out of LSU, Drew Aller out of Penn State. I just don't see the talent in those players. Maybe they'll come out and shock me as the season goes on. But this year is a bit different from last year. Last year was a reset with Bryce Young. You know that he can play against top talent at this level. But can you get that out of Bryce Young? Can you get him to be that consistent player? Going out there for 5 games and looking very good is different from going out there and looking very good for 17 weeks straight. He seems more so like a backup quarterback than an actual starting quarterback. We'll see how he looks when Jalen comes back. Jalen Coker at the wide receiving position. Phenomenal playmaker. He's been out all season long as I record this video. But he's easily their second best wide receiver right now, playing alongside T-Mac. You have Jimmy Horn. I don't see much out of Jimmy Horn either. Had a very good good career at Colorado, but what you did at college is completely different than what you can do at the NFL in this level. And the offensive line injuries, you have Chandler at the right guard position because Robert Hunt went down. You have Cade Mays at the center position because Austin Corbett went down. Now, I've been told in my comment section below that a lot of Panther fans, they feel like Cade Mays is a better player than Austin Corbett. So I'll leave it at that. Even though I feel like Austin Corbett is not a bad offensive lineman. But Cade Mays isn't bad either. You have Icky at the left tackle position, and you still have Damian Lewis holding things down the left guard position. So offensive line right now, it's not an issue. It's play calling, and it's your quarterback. The defense this year, I really like the defense. Derrick Brown's one of the best at his position. You're not going to trade Derrick Brown. That's a franchise player. That's a phenomenal player to have in your defense. You're not going to trade J.C. Horn either. He's one of the best cornerbacks in the game. You have been better against the run this year than you were last year because you allowed 2,000 yards on the ground. That hasn't been the case this year. You were tough on ETN until he broke one big run off. You were tough on the Arizona Cardinals, and the same with James Conner and Kyler Murray in his legs. Obviously, you were tough on the Atlanta Falcons in week 3, so this defense is taking a turn for the better. You have some guys on the defense that can step up and play better, like Christian Roseboom. He needs to be a better player inside that linebacking room. Patrick Jones, he needs to stay fully healthy. Right now, he's dealing with an injury. DJ Wonnum, he needs to stay healthy as well. Trayvon Wallace, he's a young player. You hope that he can step up to that next level. You have Princely, who has been a solid rookie so far, coming off the edge. So they have pieces here, and especially in the safety room with Trayvon Mooring, who is a very good player, and Lathan Ransom. Lathan Ransom has had a very good season so far, even dating back to the preseason. So the Panthers have talent on the defensive end and the same on the offensive end. But the Bryce Young situation is what is really holding this team back right now. He needs to be better. And this has come from the same person last year that was in favor of them benching Bryce Young for Andy Dalton. But this time around, you don't bench him. You let him play through this slump. And if you do bench him, you don't go back to him. You stick with Andy Dalton for the rest of the year. The season is far from over. Being 1-3 is not the ideal start for anyone. But your defense can help you out. But Bryce Young has to play better. But let me know in the comment section below how you feel about Bryce Young and the Carolina Panthers. I am disappointed, because I thought that they were going to come out there and at least play better against Drake May and the New England Patriots. And I know that Drake May was able to go out there and perform up to the next level. And that's one more thing I want to touch on here. When you see a quarterback in Drake May, who is not in the ideal situation with the Patriots, because that's actually a bad offensive line. And that's a bad situation for a young quarterback. He goes out there and he outperforms Bryce Young, who is in year 3. And they've built a team around Bryce Young. Drake May in year 2 with a brand new coaching staff goes out there and he performs like that. And this is the effort and this is the play that you get out of Bryce Young. It's just unacceptable. If you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button. If you like the video, hit the like button. Most importantly, I want each and every last one of you guys stay safe, stay positive. Thanks for the video, guys. God bless. Peace.